Radha Govinda Madhava ki, Shri Gopashtami ki, Shri Gopashtami ki, Shri Dhananjaya Pandit ki, Shri Gadadharas Goswami ki, Shri Srinivasacharya ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Adoda Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Shanti Swami Name Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Vishali Namaste Srimati Bhakti Shachari. Hare Krishna, on this wonderful auspicious day on our Vaishnava calendar in the month of Kartik. We're assembled here to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. And glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam includes glorifying all of that, the personalities who carry, really represent Srimad Bhagavatam. We may need a French translation who, I think, Roman probably need French translation. Pardon?
Not clearly.
No?
Not clearly.
Not really. You need an English translation? In Hindi?
But there is no Hindi speak. There is
Your
no
good
Hindi
wife,
speak.
you can understand English, okay? It's okay? English okay?
Sorry?
English.
For me, English, okay.
English.
What about your husband? I'm sorry, because our time is so short that we have to try to take stop, start. We will only get about 5-10 minutes speaking. Okay, so any tissues anyone, please? My first question, which one? Tissue, which one? Today is on Vaishnava calendar Gopastami, Goswami, the disappearance day of Janananda, Pandit, the disappearance day of Janananda Goswami, and the disappearance day of Srivastava. You could say packed day. You've got 25 minutes. It's not realistic to try to cover these topics in such a short time. So, well, let's see what happens. We'll reach him a Bhagavatam one verse, and I'm happy. Hey, how are you both listening? Hare Krishna. See? I'm happy to speak again this evening, but I don't know if anyone will be there. At 7 o'clock. The manager is sitting here. Oh, Namaskar. Is that okay? Yeah, doesn't work either. I don't know. It's.
You can just speak longer.
No, I'm going out at 9 o'clock anyway.
We can announce, we can ask.
Oh, what time? Yeah, this evening. I thought it was 9 o'clock anyway. The class says here clearly you finish at 8:45, so I'll finish a little bit later. I've got to do it now. So anyone who wants to hear about Srinivasacharya, please come this evening. You can read it yourself if you want to come, please come. Okay, so text number 24, I believe, is that correct? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Vasudevaya.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Bhagavad Vacha.
Brahmanyam Grinami.
Manukrinami.
Sadisho Vidunonyaham. Yanmadak Purushakstabdo. Lokam Mam Savamanyate. Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavad Vacha.
Brahmanyam Anugrinami.
Bhagavanam Anugrinami.
Sadisho Vidunonyaham.
Vidunamam.
Janmadak Purushakstabdo. Lokam Mam Savamanyate. Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavad Vacha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Brahman,
Brahman,
O Lord Brahman,
O Lord Brahman,
young, unto anyone,
unto anyone,
to whom,
to whom
Anugrinami,
Anugrinami,
I show my mercy,
show my mercy.
cut, his, Vishaha, material opulence, or riches. Vidunami, take away, Aham, I, Yatmadaha, having false prestige, due to this money. Purusha, such a person. Stabdaha, being dull-minded. Lokam, three words. Man, Mancha, unto me. Avamandate, derives. Translation and purpose by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Lord Brahma, because of material opulence. A foolish person becomes dull-witted and mad. Thus he has no respect for anyone within the three worlds and defies even my authority. To such a person, I show special favor by first taking away all of his possessions. Verse. And this could say, reciprocation of the Lord appears to be one of cruelty for some people. But it's here, this is his mercy, and we'll hear a bit about that, I guess. Purport. A civilization that has become godless because of material advancement in opulence is extremely dangerous. Because of great opulence, a materialist becomes so proud that he has no regard for anyone and even refuses to accept the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The result of such a mentality is certainly very dangerous. To show special favor, the Lord sometimes makes an example of someone like Bali Maharaj, who was now bereft of all of his possessions. And that's the end of the purport. But of course, the purports are unending, unlimited. Bhagavatam is unlimited. Prabhupada is just giving us a commentary which we may be able to digest, which we may be able to understand a little bit, and perhaps have an effect upon us to change us. When the verse here describes about foolish persons who become dull-witted and mad because of material opulence, it doesn't just mean billionaires. Billionaires or millionaires, people with a lot of so-called wealth. Everyone in this material world, in one sense, easy to understand, are overwhelmed by materialism, whatever it may be. For instance, if nobody had any money, if you had €1, you'd be a rich man. You'd be opulent. It's a relative definition. In other words, it's an identification, it's an attachment to the material energy in whatever form it takes. We're attached. We consider it some kind. We may comparatively not consider it so much opulence, but we still consider it something. I've got. This mentality makes a spirit soul, well, in the words of Prabhupada, or the words of Bhagavatam, dull-witted and mad. You want to know what dull-witted means? What is a dull wit? Stupid. Dull is one easy word. Witted is wits. What do we mean there? Wits is that thing up there. You know what is that up there?
He means cuckoo.
Some kind of, whatever it is. God knows what it is. Some kind of white stuff or whatever. I don't know. Put something up in the head, you know. Dull, stupid, intoxicated, absorbed in trying to increase my opulence, increase my knowledge, increase my whatever it is, sense gratification, dull-witted, and mad. Mad for it, to the point people literally go mad for it. Literally mad. Oh, they even commit crimes in order to achieve it. Tell lies, do any damn thing. Who don't care about God. God is only existing to provide my desires, right? Otherwise he's useless. He's no value, right? If God isn't making me happy, what's the use of him? I don't need him. Right? Somebody else is better than him. Bill Gates is saying somebody else can satisfy me. People don't realize it. Then when you hear things like this, he takes away all my possessions. My God, what is that? What type of God is that? Takes them all away? Hey. Your best friend just takes everything away from you? He's not my friend anymore. Why is God doing that?
So that we come closer to him.
Pardon?
So that we come closer to him, learn to love him.
Really? And if everybody would answer the same way. Obviously you're sincerely trying to understand your constitution and you want to really progress in spiritual life, which is very good. But the majority of people, I don't know. I was listening to a lecture yesterday, Prabhupada was saying during the war how the German ladies were going to the church, the men were all away fighting against the Allies or whatever it was. And they're praying, may my son, my father, my brother, whatever it is, please be protected and come back. Millions and millions of them didn't. And I think it's true, but Prabhupada was quoting his godbrother who said that was what happened. A German godbrother. He said, yes, most of them became atheists because they lost their brother, they lost their husband, they lost their son. They became atheists. And people question, what is this God? Why is there suffering? How can you expect us to believe in a God that allows suffering? And so on. That's like, these are topics in themselves. We don't have time to go deeply into this. Even there, Srila Prabhupada, when he was a married man, perhaps in the 40s, 1940s, I don't know exact time, but there were certain times when he was doing businesses. He was doing pharmaceutical business, and when he was in Allahabad, in Lucknow, different places doing his business, especially in Lucknow, in India, his business wasn't going forward. It was theft, things were stolen, someone cheated him, and different things were going seemingly wrong. Why? He was a devotee of Krishna, pure devotee. And he wanted to make money so he could serve the mission. But it wasn't happening. A little bit, but not much. And Baba was wondering. Then he came across this verse in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe 10th canto. What is that verse now? You know, I don't know. Huh? Loud and clear? Yeah, and what does it mean?
It means to those Krishna shows special favor, he takes everything away. The conversation between the Maharaja and Maharaj.
Yeah, so that even his friends and family members reject him. Because destitute. And as you said, of course, for a non-devotional person, it's more likely that they'll become depressed or angry or something. If they're a little religious, they might become angry at God even. But the one who's fortunate, they realize there's so many stories. Pingala the prostitute, so many stories in the Bhagavatam are there of this, say, from a dull-witted mad person, very hard to understand what's going on here. Because they have no spiritual understanding. They're totally in ignorance. God is a material order supplier. They don't realize, and they're missing out on the golden opportunity to actually become happy, to actually be free of anxiety, free of karma and reactions, if you believe in that. Even if you don't, you still have to So Krishna takes it away to release the living entity from that which is keeping us trapped in this world of madness, this birth and death. Out of his mercy, like a parent sometimes, a parent may take something away which is detrimental to the child. It may be misuse of time. It may be a certain type of food. Just like we had our Ramliya went into the forest the other day and ate the wrong thing. And she ended still today, she can't eat practically in hospital. Now if you saw your child, you'd immediately take that away from the child, whatever the child said. Because you know that will be dangerous. If a child had a piece of glass, it looks nice, coloured glass. Somehow or another, maybe you have to give them a chocolate or something. Somehow or another, to get that glass out of the kid's hand. Or fire. Something dangerous. Or you see a blind person walking across the road. Car coming. They may say, "Let me go, what are you doing?" They don't understand because of course they're not mad, but they just don't have the ability to understand that or see that. So you're acting a way for their benefit, although it may appear otherwise to them. Because this is dull-witted mad. Like when you preach Krishna consciousness, people would go away. Get out of here. They don't want. They don't realize. They just think you're trying to take their money or something like that. Brainwash them. What do they call it? Brainwash. But that's not at all the case. It's actually the mercy to try to release them. They're going to use that money for a cigarette or beer or wine or some meat, some nonsense. Releasing them. Great, good fortune. They don't see it like that. Think, "Oh no, I've got to buy a coffee. I haven't got anything left." Most unfortunate, dull-witted man. Somehow they give 1 centime, Prabhupada said. Their life is so fortunate. They don't know that doesn't have to be used in Krishna's service. Just take it away. Something or another. They give a matchstick, something. Anyway, you can see the results of this society which we're living in. Today is Gopal. You can see this society. Slaughterhouses everywhere. Isn't it? I mean, there's so many things you could talk about. But as it's Gopasam, we're just referred to one aspect. Slaughterhouses all over the world. Everywhere. People don't, maybe a lot of people protest, but the vast majority of people, it's just a norm. It's a norm. Even if you close them down, they'll do something else. Because they're conscious, they're dull-witted and mad. Crazy. In ignorance. It's not a question of changing from this to that. It might be, you could say it's good. But if people's consciousness is still the same, it's not going to deliver anyone. Without Krishna consciousness, everything is like just another mode of nature. So today is Gopastami. What happens on Gopastami? It's unusual. What's going on? Who's the Pujari today? Have they forgotten something? What's happening? Who's the Pujari today? Who's dressed Radha Govinda Madhava? Pardon? What's going on the altar? Kind of like losing his sight. What's happening out there? Did you notice something funny on the altar this morning? Pardon?
Small cows.
What's wrong with small cows? There's big cows too. That's something really funny. A couple of really funny things on the altar today. You saying Radharani is funny? What's funny about Radharani? She's dressed different. I don't know if she's dressed different, is she? What's different about her dress? Huh? Pardon? There's a horn. What's she doing with the horn? There's a rope there as well. What's she doing on the rope? She's going to tie Krishna up. It's the month of Kartik. That's what it is. What's she got a horn on a rope for? Huh? What's that? Offering arti with a horn?
Like the cowboy.
He's going to do it to Krishna.
Like,
He's going to pass it on to Krishna.
they're going to pass it on to Krishna. That's nice. That's a nice thing to do. She normally passes on a flower, right? With a rope and a horn. She's going to pass it on to Krishna. Why? Why? What does Krishna want a horn and a rope for? You know, you pass them on to someone. A birthday present. Someone gives you a horn and a rope for your birthday.
Krishna is now taking charge of the big cows.
What is that?
Krishna was previously taking care of the calves, but now he will take care of the big cows.
Ah, yes, it's a very significant day. What does Gopastami mean? I'm not saying what it means. A day, Astami, Gopa, the cow, cowboys, cow herders. What does it signify?
Cow's birthday.
Krishna is given charge of the. This was the day that he was given charge of the
Cows,
cows.
on this day. Up to this time, as Dipali said, he's looking after the
Cows.
cows. So on this day, he takes charge of the cows. Now how old is he?
Seven.
Depends which angle we look at it. Let's say which perspective. Normally it's the time when a child goes from the stage of Kumara to Poganda, and the Kumara age is the childhood age. Mostly the pastimes are with parental aspect. And the Poganda age is coward boy pastimes. Of course, there's also coward boy pastimes in the first stage also. But at this stage, which is normally around about 5 years of age, in Krishna's actual case, in terms of, you could say, external measurement, it's only just over 3 years. 3 years and 8 months or something. But normally it's about 5 years that the children, Vaishya children. What is the business of Vaishyas? Yes, their business. What is Krishi?
Plowing.
Yeah, working the land, plowing the land, agriculture, go raksha, cow protection, Vanyam, trade.
Business. Banking.
Prabhupada also says banking, but it doesn't necessarily mean the banking system we have today, by the way. Dealing with wealth, such as trade in various ways. This is generally the business. In the case of Krishna's family, Nanda Maharaj, what was their primary aspect? Cows. Their whole community was primarily was based upon the cow. Very important. So the children of the dynasty of Nanda Maharaj and his brothers, etc., well, there's cow protection, and their children would automatically, they didn't have to go to college. This nonsense idea now that you learn things by going to college. I know many people who go to agricultural college, they don't even know how to grow a potato. We have one devotee who was a graduate in agriculture, hopeless farmer, completely hopeless. He knew how to tell people, what chemicals to put in and all this stuff. He didn't have to do it. You don't have to do all this. Farmers are farmers. Isn't it? You can see, they're all, and other people may take it up for various reasons, but naturally their inclination is like unavoidable. It's their constitution, they're conditional, but it's their constitution. And from the childhood, they're out there in the field, right? You still see in the villages in India, I don't know how many percentage of people in India are still agriculturally based. I don't know. High percentage compared to most countries probably. But you've probably grown up, those who are from Indian descent, isn't it? As a child, if you were in a farming family, you were a baby and you were in the field. Right? You're not in the cot. If you want to scream, you scream in the field. Nobody cares. Right? Cows just moo at you. You're on, in the mother's pouch or on the back or something, right? 6 of them, all strapped up.
6 babies.
Or whatever it is. And you're in the field. All you see is cows and fields and farming going on, and mum's milking the cows or whatever she's doing, churning the butter or something. You grew up, and naturally that's what you're going to do. Huh? Little calves. Kids love little animals, and the calves love children. And they play together. It's a natural world, huh? There's no television to watch, terrible. No, what do you call these things on the camera? Huh? Cell
phones.
People watch things on the cell phone, all kinds of stuff. No cell phone. Are you ready to go back to God? You take your mobile with you? This is madness. You see, this is what this verse means. We're attached to it. It's exactly the same thing. You may use it in Krishna service. But when we're using it for our service, that's called madness. Because it keeps us bound up in the material. Krishna will take it away. Maybe at the right time. He takes it away when we're ready. We do with Prabhupada in terms of another plan. So people don't have those things. Simply living on the ground. Even in our generation, early 50s, my first toy other than a tin soldier was a mechanical train set. When I was about 5 years old, because my father worked in the railways. So he gave me a mechanical train set for Christmas, and that was like a big, we'll wind it up. And a few tin soldiers. They were toys, teddy bear.
Teddy bear.
Gora Hari told me that when his mother was a kid, that's far further back, their toys were stones.
Stones.
And sticks.
Sticks and stones.
And the best stones were those with the hole in, because you could tie them up so they were cows.
Yeah, cows. We had sticks and stones too. We would play a lot with sticks and stones, but we weren't a farming family, so we didn't think of cows. We were more thinking of, bombs and throw it at somebody or something, or hit him with a stick, I don't know. I wasn't so much into that, but most of the ones around me were. Whatever, but there was such natural gifts, You play with them, So you grow up like that. You automatically, the child by the time it's 5 knows how to milk the cows, loves it, loves the cows love the kid. You don't have to kind of get to know the cows and the cows. They know you all from birth. You're part of a family. It's a family. They're part of the family. Not things that you get milk from so you can sell it or drink it. They're part of the family. Krishna's family. And they grow up like that. Cows, goats, and stuff. They grow up like that together. It's a wonderful thing. So today, a great festival takes place. Enormous festival. The Gopastri is a big day when Krishna takes charge of the cows. Phenomenal. They're going to celebrate him. We're going to read a little something now. The little time we have. And the glorious internet actually allowed me to, I didn't think until it came up the temple practice. So just some little quotes on the glories of the cows. Because in our society, the only glory about cows in the public eye is what? Huh? What's glorious about cows? Huh? Speak louder. Cheese. Cheese? Typical French answer. Cheese. As what is his name? Charles de Gaulle said it. It's impossible to manage a country with 2,000 different cheeses in it. It means everyone's got their own, their own philosophy about the truth.
And paneer.
Everyone's got their own ideas. And it's the same all over the world, it's not just cheese. Cheese, okay, cheese. Glorious cheese. Cheese, cheese, glorious cheese. Nothing quite like it for making me please. Okay, what else?
Ghee.
Huh? Ghee.
Ghee.
Ghee? Most people don't eat ghee.
For the lamps.
Do they?
Ghee lamps cooking.
Ghee lamps. Well, they certainly don't eat ghee lamps. What else is glorious about a cow? That's for a devotee. I mean, many things for devotees. Everything's glorious about a cow for a devotee. But for the public,
They want hamburgers.
they want hamburgers. It's ham. Ham. Is ham from the cow? Beef burgers.
Yeah,
Beef.
Not hamburgers. Hamburgers comes from another one. Beef burger.
Beef.
Yeah, they like their beef. They don't care less what the cow thinks, do they? They just like their beef. Beef. There's a big sign in New Zealand. It said, Brainstein. Eat beef. Good for the brain. Big, huge board right in the city centre. Right up there. Eat beef. Good for the brain. It's called Brainstein instead of Einstein. Brainstein. Eat beef. This is their mentality. The cow is to provide you with beef so that you can become a buffhead. Meathead. Dull-witted. Mad. And of course, God knows what reactions are there. Eating, buying, cultivating, supporting the cow slaughter industry. It's the most sinful thing on the planet. What else? Milk. Primarily people think of milk other than beef. And many people don't even think of beef, they just take it for granted. But milk, yeah, the cow gives milk. It makes a bit of a pong too. Some people don't like it. It's a gorgeous smell, but some people are so dull-witted they put some other labels there. Milk, yeah. Milk is a byproduct of the dairy industry. It's a byproduct. It's a byproduct. I have one disciple who's the chief, he's the head of the laboratory of the biggest dairy on the planet. He knows every single square cell of what goes on in the dairy industry. Almost all the medicine you buy has dairy products in it. Paint. Many of the paints have dairy products. Huh?
Paint? Did you say paint?
Paint, yeah.
Like painting?
Yeah, paint, wall paint. So many things they extract out of every aspect of the dairy industry as a cow.
Whey powder? It's a
Whey powder is
industry.
direct. Whey powder is a direct product. The other things like milk, like pharmaceutical business and the dairy industry are like this.
Oh my God.
Right next to this huge dairy is a big pharmaceutical chemical plant to take the earth extracts from the milk to use in their poisons.
Gelatin as well.
So many things. Unending. The list doesn't end practically. And they use so many things. And the milk is just the leftovers practically.
Leftover remnants.
From a processing plant. Exploitation. It's like the waste product of the industry. And the whey, of course, they take it out, which is the main power ingredient, materially speaking, in milk. And then they sell it back to you at 10 times the price or whatever it is. No. Anyway, that's another subject matter. The exploitation factor. But this is how people, they don't even know it. You see the cow in so many different ways. They have no interest because it's a godless, demonic society. I mean, we don't want to get too black about it. We do it in one sense, but because it's to make it positive, to make a change in society. Prabhupada's idea of the farm and the cow protection was to make a change. Unless we show a change, there's nothing. We can speak as much as we like. It is not necessary to have much effect. There has to be a genuine change in consciousness and showing example. So cow protection. I was driving Prabhupada on his last visit to London, and in the car he was hardly speaking because of his health. The only thing he talked about was cow protection, nothing else. Nothing else. We were top of the world in book distribution and making devotees. He didn't even want to hear about it. He just talked about cow protection only. It was so important to him. Not just because it was from India, and any Hindu has a sentiment, it's not a practical application, but because it is so important for the progress of Krishna consciousness, both our own as well as the movement. It's a very, to say almost, yes, a theoretical thing, but it's a reality, it's not just a theory. I'll just read a few things, because this is a subject which could go on forever. And I just quickly downloaded a few comments here from Shastra. I'll read one. I couldn't find the translation. Om Namo Govyaha Shrimatibhya Sarvabhebhya Evacha Namo Brahma Sutabhyascha Pavitrabhyo Namo Namaha Om Gave Namaha. That is a pranam mantra for this event, the Goswami. I always see the cows. Let the cows see me always. Our attention should be towards the cows. Their attention should be towards us. We are for the cows and the cows are for us. Because no one's more dear to Krishna than the cows. Prabhupada writes in the 9th canto, of all living entities, the Brahmins and the cows are the two most important in society. Of the two, the cow is more important. Pretty heavy statement. That's from the Mahabharata. When Lord Brahma wanted to create the world, he first created the cows for the sake of the development of all beings. Therefore, the cows are the mothers of the whole world. Not just because they give us milk, they were the first created, at least according to Mahabharata, first created entity for the welfare of all of entities. Srila Prabhupada said, only this cow's milk will help you. It is so nice. And it gives very nice brain, not the pig's brain. What a pig brain. Yeah, they sell pig's milk. Even the devotees didn't realize that at one time in South America they were buying pig's milk. In Vrindavan for years we were buying ghee from a farm in Rajasthan, and we discovered it was camel milk making the ghee. Camel milk. Camels. Millions of camels in Rajasthan. They do give milk. Yeah, so goat's milk is, Prabhupada said goat's milk is next best to cow's milk, by the way. And there you see signs, especially in South India, pure 100% buffalo milk. Obviously you can use it for making things like yogurt and stuff. But in of itself, have you ever seen a buffalo? You seen a buffalo? You ever tried to move a buffalo?
Water buffalo.
Water buffalo or whatever buffalo, any buffalo. But you drink buffalo milk, you go to Buffaloka. Krishna Loka, Buffaloka, not Goloka, but Buffaloka.
Papa says, if you drink buffalo milk, you get a buffalo brain.
Yeah, you become like a buffalo brain. And that's what I'm saying. Have you ever seen a buffalo? That's what it's coming to. You ever seen a buffalo on the road in India?
Yes.
What do you have to do?
Have patience.
You have to try to find a way around it, usually. The thing will sit there, you'll and it'll look at you
Hard.
It might eventually move, but sometimes it just sits there
Like a horse.
Not like a horse. Horse will run a mile. Like some people. You understand?
The guys with bicycles.
Yeah, dull as. Slow, dull. You know, can hardly see anything outside of the little world. Dull. So you get a pig's brain, is another thing. So it is so important thing. Other, why Krishna says go raksha? He did not say pig raksha. Go raksha. No, I actually listened to this lecture yesterday. No, dog raksha, not dog raksha. Now everyone worships dogs, right? Pretty much, world over, dog worship. Pick up the poop, carry the poop in a bag, stand there with the dog poos and poop, dog pulling one hook.
Baiting them. Baiting dogs.
Now we have dogs, cats, not what Prabhupada wanted. No. Now they're interested in dog raksha instead of cow raksha. Okay. This is the civilization, the so-called civilization. They'll spend millions and millions of dollars for a dog. You know, they have hotel resorts for dogs. They have superettes for dogs, you know, what we call the supermarkets for dogs. I see them.
They sell.
In Australia they have these, in America too. They have superettes for dogs, all dog stuff, you know. Take the dog in. Which one you like, you know. Poopers, did like fancy pooper scoopers and all sorts of things you can get there. It's mad. It's a society of nuts. Nuts. What can you get from a nut society? You only get nuts. Crazy society. It's been sponsored by billionaires, by banks and so on and so forth. And they sponsor the killing of cows. Biggest cow, one of the biggest slaughterhouses in the world is in Mumbai. India has the highest cow slaughter on the planet. Yes, really. So-called Dharma, land of Dharma. It's higher than any other country in the world, cow slaughter. Now with Modi in place, he's trying to put that down. But you know, greed, envy. Cow slaughter is a personification of envy at its worst. They're everywhere in the world. Even so-called ahimsis are involved in cow slaughter. So this kind of civilization will not bring any peace or prosperity, real prosperity. That was that prosperity means land and cows. It's not numbers in some, you know, bank, so-called bank, exploitative or corporation. You have to take Krishna's civilization if you want actually. That is human civilization. By God's arrangement, anyone in any part of the world can live very peacefully if he has some land and a milk cow. There is no need for man to move from one place to another to earn a livelihood. I was listening to another lecture yesterday. Probably saying, what is this civilization? You have to, based on, you have to drive 100 miles to work. 2 hours driving. I mean, many people in the world, 2 hours to work or school is insane. It's madness. In Melbourne, I was asking people where they work and where they live. One guy lived on that side of the city and worked on that. The next guy lived on that side and worked on that. They're going like this all day long. Across the city. Madness. Why do you work there? Why do you work? You work there. No. Money. Job. All falsities. Kali Yuga. This is how Kali Yuga controls everything through the finance system. Controlling everyone's behavior as much as possible. Everything. Kali's main thing, Bhagavatam said, is through the artificial monetary system. Everything else is like, people naturally fall into that trap. Illicit sex and so on. One can produce food grains locally and get milk From cows. It's like, you buy an apple in England. I was working on a farm one time, and we were producing apples. Tons of apples. All put them in a shed, I asked one of the workers, the permanent workers, I said, what happens to it? They get dumped in the ocean. England. England. You go to the store, apples everywhere from South Africa. And we're working on dumping English apples in the ocean. Insane economic system. Bogus. They can solve all economic problems. Because what do you really need to live? Tell me.
A roof over your head.
A roof over your head. Prabhupada said you can have 4 sticks and some leaves and make a house. Of course, that may not apply so easily in France. In India and tropical countries, that's all you need. What else do you need? A roof over your head. Water. And who's providing water, really? Huh? Well, Krishna ultimately, you probably saw the other day. Krishna provides, God provides the water, He provides the air. Okay, these are obvious things, but in terms of, let's say, products or something, what do you need?
Food. You need food.
Sorry? Government?
Administration.
Okay.
You need government.
Government. Need a government. You need some kind of, okay. That's like in terms of organization. You need some structure is there in society. Yes, some structure is required. But in terms of the individuals, let's say, living to survive, what do they need? Even without a government, people survive. There's some kind of local organizations there. Food. Food and water are generally 2 absolute requirements, generally speaking, isn't it? Food. But most of the food we eat, I'm not going to get into the value of the food, but much of it is not absolutely required, is it? Much of it. Do you really need to go eat a burger or a cake or ice cream or pizza? If you're from Italy, you need to eat. But many of these things are not absolute, they're not staples. Many things we eat actually disturb our health rather than enhance it. Especially stuff from 100,000 miles away, which is rotten in reality. There's no life left in it.
Dead man.
The milk they sell in France, most of it is sterilized.
Yeah, that's another topic. If you really want to get into that, I can give you a book on it. That's devotee, my disciple, who's head of the laboratory. He said you get as much value out of drinking, white water as you do out of drinking processed milk.
Oh my God.
You get more.
Well, you might get more. At least it's not going to cause you so much harm. This is why the pharmaceutical industry and the dairy industry are so close, because you've got to go to the pharmaceutical industry to recover from the dairy industry.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Too much business.
Processed milk. What to do? Offer to Krishna. For the best. Anyway, back to the subject. We have to get moving. 1 or 2 more quotes. I'm already over time. Produce food locally. Yes. Well, I grow one tomato last year. Dry. 6 tomatoes. I didn't grow 1 tomato. I picked 1 tomato. I pilfer Goswami's garden, especially when he's not here. There's some nice green vegetables down there right now. But the deers usually get there before me. That can solve all economic problems, because you don't need all this other stuff. 95% of the stuff people buy is useless stuff. Rubbish, not just food, but all kinds of things. You need clothes.
Junk food.
You need clothes. You need warmth, wood, whatever it is. Warm. Keep warm. You need some clothes. You don't need 50 pairs of shoes. 200 different kinds of hats and coats and so on.
Dhotis. 200 dhotis.
You need what you need. Simple living. Anyway, there's just hundreds of quotes. Prayers by Lord Shiva and so many different prayers to carry here. Oh, what can I say? Anyway, over time. So just meditate on the glories of the cow. Today is Gopastami, Goswami. Krishna reaches that age, he starts looking after the cows, and the cow boys go out into the fields with the cows. A house where Vedas are not chanted, where cows are not seen, where children are not around, is like a graveyard. Interesting. Where the Vedas are not chanted, where cows are not seen, where children are not around, it's like a graveyard. You got a child here today, 2 children. You can't see the cows, but they still have 1 cow at least, and we need to see more. And the Vedas have to be chanted more. That means the holy name, Krishna, Bhagavatam. Okay, come on to finish. Cow urine, milk, dung, ghee, curd, and gochan are the 6 auspicious products. Cow does not, it's just its mere presence brings, it's a very interesting statement. I don't know which, I've forgotten, I think it's in one of the Vedas. It said anywhere a cow drinks from a river, that river becomes as good as the Ganges. Pretty purifying. We just, unfortunately, we don't understand that the Lord has literally sent cows into this world for the benefit of humanity. And we take it with slaughtering them, or ignoring them, except for treating them like something over in the distance that gives milk. They're so dear to Krishna, Mulbrahman is about to chant every day, that whenever we offer prasadam, and we may not realize the cow is the most dear to Krishna. Say, why? It's just an animal. What are we? We're lower than animals. Lower. The whole world must learn from Krishna how to live happily without scarcity, simply by producing food grains, anad bhavanti bhutani, and giving protection to the cows. Do not go to bed at night without praising cows. Do not get up in the morning without remembering the cow. Offer respect to the cow daily in the morning. By doing so, a human being achieves strength and nourishment. All the demigods live in the body of the cow. All the holy places live in the legs of the cow. Lakshmi Devi resides in the cow's heart. A person who puts tilak on the cow's forehead with the mud that is, on his forehead. A person who puts tilak on his forehead with the mud that has touched the cow's hoof at once attains the result of bathing in a holy place. He attains victory at every step. A place where cow stays is considered to be sanctified, and a person who dies there certainly attains liberation. One devotee in England, his name was Chris. Back to Chris. Never took initiation. He was somewhat, had a bad accent. He was somewhat deformed. He had a brain damage. He wasn't quite tuned in. But he loved the cows. And he loved prasad distribution. These 2 things in kirtan, of course. And he also loved liquor and cigarettes.
Oh my God.
Because of previous condition, he could not follow the principles. He couldn't get up in the morning. He couldn't chant 16 rounds. But he served the cows and he distributed prasadam, or whenever he could. Every penny he got, he used for prasad distribution, serving the cows. He was on some government subsidy. And one year he went to India, to Mayapur. He had no money, so he couldn't find. He just found a friend who was working in the go-show, let him sleep in the go-show. Slept in the go-show in the middle of the night. He had a heart attack and left his body in the middle of the night in the go-shop in Mayapur. Can you imagine? It's not just about being a so-called sadhaka. That's okay, that's good. It is where the heart lies. All these things, like which he had to go through attachments, they go away. They're just sins. But they weren't attached. attached to Krishna, attached to the service of Krishna, to the cows. Everything else is insignificant, practically. You should see from his example, Krishna allowed him to leave his body right at the feet of the cow. So fortunate. All of the learning and whatever it is, it may be good, but it's not necessarily enough. It's not necessarily perfection. Without understanding the real heart of Krishna. What do you mean? Just look at that picture of that painting. It's one of the most beautiful paintings I've ever seen. Many of you were here when that painting was last. You were here then, every day, Paul?
No.
You know? You know who painted this one?
Yeah.
One of the greatest artists the world ever seen. Beautiful painting. What do you feel when you look at that painting?
Love, purity.
You feel like he's right there with us. It's like the picture is so alive. So alive. You can just feel like entering into it. It's not just a painting. The Prabhupada said they're windows to the spiritual world. It's like the spiritual world is coming out through this picture. Krishna and Balaram are coming to us. And the cows are coming. They're coming. I've said it before, I'll finish on one last little recollection. Many others, but one last recollection. Before I ever heard of the Krishna consciousness movement, I remember one time, I was at a rock festival. You may have heard of this rock festival called Glastonbury. It was in June 1971. It so happened the Hare Krishna devotees were there. I didn't see them. There were like 400,000 drugged out hippies there, more or less. And I was one of them. And I was so drugged out, if you know what that means. I was completely lost. They were existing or not existing. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know anything. I couldn't, nothing. I couldn't identify with anything. It was the most hellish, revelational experience of my life. It was really was. I mean, I didn't know what it was, but it was just complete hell. And the most prominent picture which comes through from that was being pounded to death by hundreds of non-ending herds of cattle, cows and bulls, just pounding me to death into the earth, crushed to pieces by their hooves. And it was such an experience I vowed never, ever to eat meat again. I'd never heard of the Krishna movement, but I had I'd heard of karma, so I felt that this was an incredible pounding of karma. I didn't know anything about, Krishna and Islam and this and that, but karma, we'd heard of Krishna, but not understanding anything about it. But it was such an experience. It was a form of mercy, powerful form of mercy, powerful form. But the importance of the cow in that society cannot be underestimated. And in Islam also. Many devotees are becoming vegans for various reasons, but that's not the solution. The solution is to do something about it. Not just to stop doing something, but to do something positive. That's what Prabhupada wanted. That's what he wanted. Bhaktivedanta Manna was called Nugokul, not Bhaktivedanta Manna. It was meant for the cows. So we hope here in Mayapur this will become a very important part of our service here to the deities, the Prabhupada. And everyone should understand the importance of this program and support it. It's actually supporting us, not us supporting it. It's not we are looking after the cows are looking after us. sometimes get it the wrong way around, think I'm the doer. We're not. We're just instruments to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. This is one area which definitely can be, increased. It has to be increased properly with intelligence. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gopastami ki jai. Shri Gopastami ki jai. Shri Srinivasacharya Tirabhat Mahotsav ki jai. Shri Dhananjaya Pandit Tirabhat Mahotsav ki jai. Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami Tirabhat Mahotsav ki jai. Janananda, you can hear a little bit about that in Krishna Wills tonight. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So if anyone wants to come for a little car ride, I'm going for a car journey in about 20 minutes to the biggest market around here, Thursday market.
Where is that?
South Russia. Thursday market. Oh, again, I've been for a few years, but last time I was there. Pretty big.
Harina for it?
Harinam! Yes.